All right.
Okay. So, this is the June Bookstream, and we have decided to do Pride books. I am Emily.
I am Andrea.
We are very excited. We were just talking about how excited we are. We're also both wearing rainbows.
Yes.
We've got a lot of queer books.
Yes, we do.
There's a spread all over the table.
Happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride! This isn't the only thing the library is doing for Pride. The library is also going to be doing a button making program in the Johnson Room on Saturday, June 11th from 11 to noon. And you can either register or drop in. And I'm going to give that information again at the end. But it's really exciting. We're really excited for the buttons. They're going to be cute. Okay.
You want to start us off?
Yes, and I'm going to just, make the camera shake.
Continue to.
Let's see. We should start off with the
Classic.
one that everybody knows. This is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. It is about two boys who both die at the end of the book.
Fun.
Super fun. So they live in a world where you get a phone call the night before the day you're going to die. And it gives you a chance to say all your goodbyes and get all your unfinished business done and celebrate with your family before you celebrate your life, like a real celebration of life. And they also have a service that you can match up with people who are going to die. And so you can make their last day nice and hang out with them, or if you are also going to die that day, you just spend it together and it's somebody who gets it.
Oh.
So this sounds like a horribly depressing book, and it kind of is, but it's also really beautiful because it is about these two boys, Mateo and Rufus, and they both get the call that they're going to die. They don't know each other, but they do one of the services, and it's they get matched. So they decide to spend their day together, and over the course of the day, they fall in love, and it's really beautiful. And it's a really good book, and it was lots of crying because they do both die at the end. It's not a spoiler, it's the title.
At least it's not a surprise.
Yeah, no. You know what you're getting into with that one. Yeah.
All right. Slightly happier note. You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. I listened to the audiobook of this. She does a great job. It reminded me actually a little bit of The Prom, the musical / the book.
Yeah.
Because there's a song in The Prom that's she starts off saying, "Note to self, don't be gay in Indiana," which is actually the protagonist. Her name is Liz Leidy. She's a black lesbian in a super conservative white rural town in Indiana. And she is you know what, that's fine though, because even though I feel very othered by my community, I'm going to go be a doctor. I'm going to work on curing sickle cell, which she lost her mother to, and her brother also has. And she's I'm going to go do my thing. She knows that there's a future beyond where she lives. Then the college that she wants to go to, that she was kind of banking on a music scholarship. They email her and say, "We don't have a scholarship for you."
Oh no.
And she thinks that she is, out of luck.
Yeah.
Her brother is "Hey, prom queen has a scholarship." She's like, Are you serious?
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. At least in this town it is. So she works kind of between who she's presenting herself as and who she is hiding in this journey of trying to become prom queen. And she meets this amazing new kid named Mac, Amanda, who they kind of have this sweet love story, but there's also the pressures of just being in high school, and it's very sweet, and it's cute and funny and queer. So read it or listen to it. It's very good.
The cover is wonderful.
Yeah.
The cover just brings me joy.
It is, yeah, it's super, super cute. Yeah.
I'm gonna do Cemetery Boys. So Cemetery Boys is by Aidan Thomas.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And it is about a Mexican American teen who is trans, who is also a brujo, and his family doesn't take him seriously because they're like, no, they don't take either his gender or his magic seriously, which is very tragic. So he's like, I'm going to prove to you that I am capable of this and also being who I am, and I'm going to bring my cousin back from the dead. And that does not go the way it is supposed to. Instead, he brings back, I think, the resident bully, who died. And so then they have to figure out how to send the kid who came back and get the person who was supposed to come back, but there's lots of back and forth, I think. But they spend more time together and feelings develop, and it's like, do I actually want him to go back to the dead? Yeah. There's nothing else in this description in the front that I missed. I haven't read this one, but it's been on my list for a very long time, and it got really amazing reviews.
Yes.
Like, it was like, this is a very well handled exploration of identity and lots of intersectionality.
Plus magic.
Plus magic, which you can't really go wrong with magic and death, obviously. Cemetery Boys.
Now for something even lighter. Sorry, that is a joke. This one's not so light, but it is beautiful. This is Fun Home by Alison Bechtel, famous for the Bechtel test, which is are two women speaking in a movie or a show or a book and not about a man. But that is, and she's also like a famous cartoonist, graphic novel writer. This is a memoir of her relationship with her father. They were both gay. Well, she is still alive. They are both gay, and it's kind of about growing up with her father, who was closeted, her coming out, and then dealing with his subsequent suicide and death. And despite that it's a really heavy read, it is beautifully drawn. It's also a musical, and the music is amazing. Really, really, really good. I highly recommend reading the book before you go see it. But it is, it's worth it to read. It's just like, it's like the Pride read for me.
It's one of those that has a reputation as being like required queer reading for a reason.
Yes.
Like it's very emotional.
And it's pretty detailed, as you can see.
Sticking with emotional. So this is All That's Left in the World. It is by Eric J. Brown. But Eric is spelled with a K, which is why I got confused for a second. This is a recently published book. I think we just got it last month or so. It is about a world-ending pandemic that he wrote it before COVID was a thing.
No.
And then it was in the process of being edited when COVID hit, and so he was like, oh no, now I have to rewrite the book to deal with COVID, which he then did. And the bug in this book does not have a name, they just call it the superflu or the bug, but it has a 99.9% fatality rate. And there were some people who were just immune. And that is the case for the two boys in this book. Their names are Andrew and Jameson. And Andrew gets caught in a bear trap and finds a cabin in the woods, and he's like, okay, so this cabin, probably nobody's in it because like most everybody's dead, so I'm gonna see if I can get myself fixed up because otherwise I'm gonna die. And it turns out that that is not an abandoned cabin, it is actually Jamie's cabin, and Jamie decides to help Andrew because he's just a cinnamon roll of a human being, and the apocalypse hasn't turned him into like a mean person.
Jaded.
Yeah, like Andrew is, but Jamie is not. And Andrew is very, very gay. So as Andrew's leg is healing, he and Jamie become very close friends, and they have a nightly ritual where Andrew tells Jamie the plot of a movie, which is so cute. It is a love story. Things happen, they have to leave the cabin, and then even more things happen, and there are lots of things that happen. This is a very high drama, high stakes book. There was a point in the middle where it got distressing, like there was so much going on, and I was just like, I have to set it down because I don't want anybody to get hurt, and I'm afraid if I keep reading, somebody will get hurt. And nobody got hurt at that point in the book. But I just finished it yesterday, so I'm still in my feels about it. It's like funny and also sad and sweet, and it's all of the things. There are so many things, and it's
really
so
good.
It's amazing.
Very timely.
Yes, not intentionally, but
Yeah, that's, you gotta feel like a weird ESP if you're
Yeah.
that author.
I would not want to do that.
No. I think we should keep going with the important Pride reads.
Yes,
But this one really is happy.
it is. It really is happy. It's a happy book.
This is I call this like, this book is like a hug in a book. One of several that I have. This is, yes. So this is the book that the movie Love, Simon is based off, Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. So it's part of like the Creekwood universe that Becky Albertalli has written. So Simon Spear is 16 years old, and he has a pen pal that has his biggest secret, which is that he is gay. Basically, the worst person ever finds his emails. Which, you know, this is why we don't on school computers.
No.
And also, Martin decides to blackmail Simon so that he can get like the attention of one of his friends.
Martin's just awful.
He is, yeah, he's really awful. But Simon is like less worried even about his own outing, but more of his pen pal, whose name is Blue when they correspond.
Mm-hmm.
He's more worried about Blue being outed because there's personal things in their letters.
Yeah.
So as this blackmail situation gets worse, Simon falls harder and harder for Blue, and, you know, obviously wants to know who it is, and, well, you know, obviously this is a recipe for everything going right and no one being unhappy.
Yes.
It came out a few years ago. It is like fuzzy feelings all over. Read the book before you watch the movie. They did actually change quite a bit. I don't think either are wrong, but...
Yeah, it's one of those where it's... The adaptation and the book are both good for different reasons, I
Absolutely,
feel like.
yeah. And I think that you get a lot out of the book that you don't get from the movie, and
Yes.
vice versa. So, so good.
Jennifer Garner's really good in the movie.
She is so good.
See, we can keep up fuzzy feelings. I left this book at home on accident because I'm always prepared for everything, always. But this is called If It Gets Out. It is by Sophie Gonzalez and Cale Dietrich, and it is What If One Direction fan fiction but real. So
I didn't know that.
the two boys on the cover are two of the members of a boy band named Saturday, and they were discovered at a music camp instead of on a TV show. But one of them is secretly gay, and his label won't let him come out. The management's like, we'll do it when the time's right. And he's like, but I think the time's right now. I want to do this now. And they're like, no, we're not doing it now. And so his bandmates know, and the management knows, and people in the realm of the music industry and Hollywood know, but the fans cannot find out. It must never get out. The other boy is straight, question mark, until he has a bit of an awakening with the boy who's gay. I don't remember their names. I'm so bad at names.
There are a lot of books, guys.
Yeah. Ruben. One of them is Ruben. What's the other one's name? Zach. Ruben and Zach. I did it. Okay, so Ruben is gay. Zach is not. Zach ends up being bi. And they end up falling in love, and their security catches them hooking up. So they have to tell the team, including, their bandmates, and their bandmates are super supportive, and it's awesome. And management is also super supportive, question mark.
Oh.
They're on a world tour, and so management's like, after Russia, we can announce this to everybody. So the book becomes the two boys trying to keep their relationship and love secret from the fans, who are actively engaged in shipping the boy band members with each other, which is creepy, by the way. I don't agree with real person shipping. But the book was just really sweet. It was a really sweet book. There was lots of feelings. It was steamy, which I was not really expecting, but it's, as long as you can handle a little bit of steaminess, it's a really good read.
Maybe a little older white
Yes,
book.
slightly, definitely older, but really good.
I am going to do, let's see, all of these are fuzzy, so really, I think I'm going to do, let's start with this one. So I did this for book news, but I'm going to talk about it again because I love it so much.
Yay!
So this is She Gets the Girl by Rachel Lippincott and Allison Derrick. So it's two college freshmen who are completely incompatible as friends on paper. So like Alex is very flirty and she like hits on everyone she meets, and Molly like can't string two words together in front of ladies that she likes. Sure. Depending on who you are, one of those might be relatable to you. So they make a deal. Alex wants to impress her girlfriend and say like, I can form real relationships that aren't just like friendships, or that aren't just like relationships. So she kind of coaches Molly to get the girl that she likes.
Oh.
It is like super 90s rom-com, which is adorable. It's swoony. There are roller skates, like as you can see but it's like the roller skating scene is so adorable. Okay. Also, like I have heard since reading this book that this is loosely based on how the authors who are married met. I know, and they're expecting a baby soon, so like I know, it's
so cute.
It's very adorable. Everyone should read it. It's checked out, which is why I have it as a printout. Read it. It's so good. Okay, yeah. So like we said, fuzzy feelings. I know.
So fuzzy.
I know.
I'm gonna read it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I have a review copy of it sitting on my Kindle.
Yeah, you definitely should read it.
I'm gonna read it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are shifting from rom-com to mystery, horror, ghost story, paranormal.
Love it.
Yeah. Fantasy. There are fantasy elements. So this is called Elazoi, It is by Darcy Little Badger, and it is about an asexual Apache girl named Ellie who can bring ghosts back. So her best friend is her dog, Kirby. Kirby is a dead dog. Like, I would like that to be made clear right from the beginning. This is...
The dog was always dead.
The dog was always dead. Well, I mean...
Oh, that's, yeah.
The dog is dead throughout the entire
book.
Yeah. So there is not a dog death scene in the book. It is just a dead dog, and the dead dog is very cute. Like, I got lots of happy feelings from all of their interactions. So Ellie can bring bring animals back from the dead, but her cousin is murdered and comes to her in a dream because the cops are going to say that it was a car accident because he was found in his car, but the car wasn't really smashed up, but he had all of the sort of injuries one would expect from a car accident. So they're like, it was a car wreck, that's what happened, no questions necessary. And Ellie is like, I think there are questions, actually. So she and her dog Kirby and her human best friend, whose names I don't remember, but the human best friend is really awesome. He's descended from the King of Fairies. So, like, they just have a really great friendship. It's wonderful. They set off to solve the mystery of her cousin's death, and meanwhile his wife is like, but can't you bring him back for me, though I never got to say goodbye, which is really upsetting. And Ellie's like, no, I actually can't do that because animal ghosts are one thing, but human ghosts are another thing. They come back wrong. So as they are getting more and more deep into the heart of this mystery, the cousin's wife is also getting deeper in grief, and of course everybody is grieving because it was very sad, but the wife is more and more insistent that, like, she needs to bring her cousin back, and they had a young baby, so she's like, bring him back so his son can say goodbye, and Ellie keeps saying no. And then there is the cousin, when he showed up, told her who murdered him. So she already has that information, and it's just a matter of proving it and finding out how, because, like, how do you kill somebody with a car crash when their car wasn't crashed, basically? And she goes to find the guy, and he lives in a very weird town where everything is good, and it's like the 1960s, but, like, you know, the white supremacy 1960s, not like an actual good 1960s. There's a lot that happens in this book, but it's all really, really well done, and I'm just throwing things in as I remember them because it was so good that I read it in one sitting. I was supposed to be working, but instead I was reading. Yeah, like, that's
Working.
Because now I'm talking it up. It is just really well written, and the characters are drawn very clearly. Like, you really get to know them over the course of the book, even the dead one, and that makes the whole thing just really emotional and also exciting. The ending, or I'm gonna say the last third of the book is super well done. It has genuinely scary moments because that's kind of when the horror kicks in, but also, like, really sweet family love, and because the main character is Ace, that's the only kind of like family and friend love is the only kind of love that really shows up in the book, which is really refreshing. It's also nice to see a native asexual character. Like, that's just a cool thing. So if you like mysteries or ghost stories or horror or all of the above, then you should definitely read this one. We have it upstairs in junior high, but it's really an all ages book. Like, it was advertised as YA. I was just like, I'm buying it for junior high because the review says it's good for grades 6 and up, and it is. Like, it's wonderful. It's truly the only thing that's could possibly be objectionable about it in terms of, for a younger reader, is that it might be too scary for them. So that is a note, but the rest of it is perfect for all ages.
Might be too scary for me.
It's kind of scary.
Well, since we're kind of on a different jaunt, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. So this whole series, I've read the first 2, I haven't read the last one yet, but this whole series I highly recommend. It's so good. Yes. There's so much to say. So Henry Montague is he is a snarky bisexual 18th century narrator that I didn't know I needed. But I actually did listen to the audiobook. The audio narrator for this book specifically won like an audiobook award. So also, if you're intimidated by like the size of it, it actually goes by pretty quick. Anyway, so Henry Monty's father is like pretty disapproving of him. However, as most like 18th century boys do, he has like his year abroad that he's going to do on the continent because he's British. So he is going with his best friend Percy and his sister, who they're going to drop off at finishing school in France. However, some things do not go according to plan because, well, essentially there's some insulting that happens at Versailles. Someone ends up running through Versailles naked.
Oh no!
And Monty is in love with Percy.
Yeah.
Percy may or may not be in love with Monty. It's unclear.
Sounds very chaotic.
It is very chaotic. It's great. Monty doesn't like make the best choices under pressure. And though it's like historical fiction, and this narrator is like all fun all the time, it doesn't shy away from the like harsh realities of like the 18th century prejudice, which I did really like. Percy is black, and there was often a lot of issue with them going to certain inns or places, and so you see a lot of that. You also see Felicity, his sister, who as a woman, she wanted to go to school her entire life, and when her dad is like, oh, you're going to school, you're going to finishing school, she is so upset by it.
I would be too.
Yeah, she wanted to be a doctor.
She's already complete. She doesn't need to be finished.
The plot twist actually made me gasp out loud.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
And I did laugh, like, hysterically, to the point where other people were looking. So it's fine. I recommend the whole series. Just, it's so good. Yes.
So for another very funny book, which I have not read, but the reviews said it was hilarious. So it's on my list of things to read because it's like, I need to read more funny stuff. This is a rollicking love story that is also kind of a slapstick comedy. The main character is named Randy, and he is 16, and he spends his summers going to queer camp. And just the idea that there is a camp specifically for queer kids to be queer at makes me very happy. And I hope it's a real thing that is in real life and not just in the book, but somebody needs to make it if it's not a real thing. Yes. Anyway, he goes to this queer camp and he loves every second of it. He loves his queer friends. He loves the queer musical they put on at the end. He's a very flamboyant gay boy. He likes to wear nail polish and has like all of the super femme interests, like the musical and the show tunes and pop divas and stuff, like all of the stereotypes basically of a very flamboyant gay boy. But he falls in love with Hudson. His name is Hudson. And Hudson is a very masculine gay boy who is only into other masculine gay boys. He's not into the very flamboyant gay boys at all. He's into the dudes who would seem straight passing. And so Randy's like, well, this isn't going to work out because I'm just not his type. So this summer, Randy has decided that he will be attending camp as Del and not as Randy. And Del is one of those hyper-masculine dudes. And so he and Hudson get to know each other, but Randy's like not actually like that at all. So shenanigans clearly ensue. Because if you're lying about everything about yourself, there's gonna be some stuff that comes up. This is a subversion of toxic masculinity at its finest, according to one of the reviews I read online, and that was the review that made me want to read it. I was like, oh, it's actually calling out some of the problems in our community, and I feel like that, queer books for teens bring me joy because they exist, and they frequently didn't when I myself was a queer teen.
Same.
Yeah, but the fact that now it's gotten to a point where they can actually critique queer culture, that brings me even more joy, because it's like queer teens today are so thoughtful, and they really do the deep examining. So having books that reflect that makes me very happy, because it's like, how can you have your experience reflected if it's all just going to be covered up in fun and games and happy? And it's like, there are some things that are actual problems. But it does it in a funny way that is funny. And I'm pretty sure that was the one that was it's a slapstick rom-com too. I believe this one also gets steamy. So this is just because of some of the words on the back, which I'm not going to read. But also the cover is really cute, and it's a sequin camp patch.
It's very cute.
Yes. I'm not going to check it out. I'm going to give other people a chance to read it, but eventually I'm going to read it, and it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
I trust in that.
Okay. Since we're talking about different identities within the queer community, I thought this would be a good transition to Heartstopper.
Yes, it is.
So this is also checked out, which is why it's here. It's probably checked out because there's now a Netflix series.
Yes.
Which is, it's like the first 1.5 books.
I think so.
Yeah. So there's 4 volumes thus far. There's actually the 5th and final volume is coming out in February, which I checked immediately because I was like, no, I thought it was done.
Yeah.
So this is great. Basically, there is 15-year-old Charlie Spring, and he is openly gay. He was bullied for being openly gay at his all-boys prep school in Britain, and he is sat down in one of his classes next to Nick Nelson, who is seemingly the straightest person to exist. He's a rugby player, and he's very masculine and strong and whatever. But they form this pretty unlikely friendship, and Charlie is like, oh gosh, I'm crushing on a straight guy, why? But then all of a sudden he's like, but am I? So these books are also like a hug. I also don't know how to describe them. There are so many amazing characters, not only these two, but their friends.
Mm-hmm.
They have a great group, support group. Nick's mom is also an amazing character and super sweet. The all-girls school that they do things with a lot of the time. Those characters are very fun as well. It deals with a lot of like fluffy, lovey-dovey stuff, but it's also like a real portrait of teen life. It's, you know, when you come out, we hope for the best, and sometimes there are people who are not as great. But, you know, you take a chance and you may fall in love. It's so cute. I actually read all 4 of them in the same day because the illustrations are like pretty big, like they're like page drawings, and yeah, they're really cute. You can get them digitally from Libby as well. Yeah. So either way, I recommend.
Are they on Hoopla? I thought they were on Hoopla too.
They were not.
They were not. Okay.
Just Libby.
Okay. Just Libby, but even though they're like, I think all of our copies are checked out because it's the Netflix show. But
read it before you watch it. Yes, because it's so good. It's so cute. Yeah.
But it's definitely on Libby. Okay. Keeping with graphic novels, we've got Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, which is an iconic title.
I love it.
Laura Dean is a jerk.
Oh no!
That was the thing that I was thinking when I read this book. It is about a girl named Freddie who is in a relationship with Laura Dean. And Laura Dean is one of the coolest girls in school. Like, she's got this super cool short haircut, and she wears a cool leather jacket, and she's a cool lesbian doing cool things. And Freddie is not cool, but like they got partnered together for square dancing in gym, and sparks flew, and so Laura Dean was like, I'm taking you to the movies, and Freddie was like, yes. So they started dating, and Laura Dean is wonderful. Like, she makes Freddie feel so fluffy and happy when they're together. When they're not, Laura Dean is kind of mean and seems to forget that Freddie exists and just doesn't treat her like a girlfriend should treat you, which is why I say Laura Dean is a jerk. It's generally okay to be a jerk when you're a teenager because you're still figuring things out, but in this particular instance, somebody is getting very hurt by Laura Dean figuring things out. So, Freddie's best friend Doodle is not super happy about the fact that they have broken up again, and Freddie's heart is broken again, and so Doodle's like, hey, you should come to my game shop where I play D&D after school, and you should talk to one of the DMs who is also a psychic, and she's gonna tell your fortune, basically. And
as you do.
Tell you about your relationship, and Doodle is clearly hoping that the psychic is going to tell Freddie to just forget about Laura Dean entirely, but that's not exactly what happens. I'm not going to say what does happen, but it is a really outstanding portrayal of like the sort of toxic relationships that you can get caught up in as a teenager, which are far too relatable to too many people, I think.
Codependence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you it reads as romantic when you don't know what a healthy relationship is supposed to feel like and stuff like that. But it does a great job of also showing like how your friendships are affected by your choices, and basically how to just stand up for yourself and be there for yourself and take care of yourself rather than having to rely on another person, which is beautiful and important. And it is also notable because it doesn't follow any coming out stories at all, and like there's no homophobia, there's no like trying to stay closeted because there's going to be oppression. It's just two girls who are both gay and they are in a relationship that probably shouldn't be, but they can't quit each other. So the illustrations are gorgeous. It is really, really wonderful. There's one color. It's a spot color thing. So it's just black and white and then also this beautiful peachy salmon coral. There are a lot of extremely funny parts. I was cackling a bit behind the desk when I was reading it. And it was just really good. It was like, I felt so many things. And mostly I was like, Laura Jean, you're such a jerk.
Oh no.
Which, like, is probably not the best way to sell the book, but
read it anyway.
yes. Because it's Laura Jean's a jerk, but like you also feel for her. You feel for all of the characters. It's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aww. Well, I don't think this title is as good as Laura Jean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, but She Drives Me Crazy.
That's a great title.
By Kelly Quinlan. Yeah, it is. This is honestly, the title was what got me to read it. Because I was like, well, I don't know, by that I have to read it.
Yeah.
This is tropey. I love good romance tropes. Why did I say it like that? But it's so good. So it's adorable. So it is Scotty Zajac, who is like an out basketball player. Mm-hmm. She loses. Before the book starts, her girlfriend breaks up with her and transfers to another school. Mm-hmm. Now she's playing her girlfriend. She loses that basketball game.
Oh no.
And she's having what she thinks is probably the worst day.
That sounds like a pretty bad day.
It is a pretty bad day. And then she gets into a car accident.
That's even worse.
With Irene Abraham, who is this girl over here. So she's like, Irene has like never been nice to her. At one point she called a tow truck on her car for parking in the wrong spot a year ago.
Oh no.
So she's like, oh, so great, this is like the worst thing. So they are both on the phone with their moms, and then Scotty's mom is like, well, if you don't have a ride to school, Scotty can drive you, because Scotty's car was the one that wasn't. Yes, so they end up carpooling together. They do not like it. And then Scotty's like, wait, but now her ex is texting her going, why are you hanging out with Irene Abraham? So she's like, wait, my ex could be jealous. And they end up doing the fake dating thing.
Oh my goodness.
Again, fake dating, it's never a good idea.
No.
Because obviously they realize there's like more that meets the eye. Mm-hmm. They think that there's only one way. It's a great read. It's lots of romance tropes, yes. And musical number, potentially? Yes.
Oh, goodness.
It also reminds me of a 90s rom-com.
Good.
Yes, very good.
Even the name. The name is very 90s rom-com, too.
Very much. And the cover, like the back-to-back.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. 90s rom-com in a book.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is another book that surely everybody has heard of by this point, Red, White, and Royal Blue. It's technically not a young adult book. Like, it was advertised as an adult book, but there's a subgenre called new adult, and I think of new adult as being part of YA because it's like they are still young adults, they're not teenagers. Other people think of it as being part of adult because it's, you're newly an adult. This is a new adult book.
They're like what, 21?
21. They just graduated from college,
yes.
Basically. And one of the hallmarks of new adult books is like you're just figuring things out. You are starting off as an adult. You are a new adult.
The narrator in this book, boy, is he ever.
He is figuring so many things out all of the time. But his name is Alex Claremont Diaz, and he is the son of the President of the United States. And he and his mother and his sister and his stepfather?
Yes.
They go to the Prince of England's wedding because that's a thing that you do for diplomacy reasons. You go to other heads of states' weddings.
As we all know.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And the problem is that Alex and Prince Henry, who is the younger brother of the prince who's getting married, they have a bit of a... I'm not even going to call it a friendly rivalry because they're not friendly at all.
No.
They just are rivals. And one of my favorite things about their rivalry is that I don't think Henry cares all that much. It's like entirely on Alex. Which just is so good.
Yeah.
So Alex, at the wedding, gets into a bit of a spat with Henry, and they end up knocking over the wedding cake and causing an international diplomacy crisis. So they have to fake a friendship to quash the tabloid rumors that, like, they hate each other, even though they kind of hate each other.
The turn on the trope.
Yeah, fake friendship. And so they have to hang out at all of these times, like, in public,
Yeah.
for cameras, just to prove that everything is fine between America and England. And the friendship clearly does not stay fake for long, and then it grows into something more, and then it gets steamy, and then it gets steamier, and through it all, Alex is figuring out, like, how to be a human and trying to help his mom get reelected and
Maybe become a politician himself.
yeah, he finds out that he's maybe interested in politics in more than just a helping his mom way, and then he also has to deal with coming out to his parents and his sister and his ex-girlfriend, and who's still his best friend.
Oh, Nora.
Like, yeah,
yes.
Nora's great. So today, this is June 1st.
Literally today.
Literally today, it was announced that this is going to be a movie, and they put the cast up, but the only people who were, like, tied to roles were Alex and Henry. So very exciting, very, very exciting news, and you have to read the book before you watch the movie, obviously.
This is one of those where I'm almost afraid to see the movie because
Yeah.
the book is so good that
The book is, like, perfect.
There's no way that the movie will be as good, but read the book because it's laugh out loud hilarious.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like, thinking of it just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
This was one that I made my book club read because I was like, I need people to talk about it with, even though I had made several different coworkers read it to talk about it with them. I was like, no, I need more people. So now I am sharing it with the world. Please talk to me about this book because it's good and I like talking about it.
This author has written 2 new adult books, and then they also wrote like a true YA, as in, like,
Yes.
set in high school, which is Shara Wheeler. I learned it was Shara, not Shara.
Okay. I thought it was Shara.
Casey McQuiston's Instagram. So yes, basically I'm gonna give just a quick spiel on that. But it's essentially there are 3 people who got kissed by Shara Wheeler, and that when Shara Wheeler goes missing, she leaves them hints as to where she is. So it's like mystery, romance. It's queer. It takes place at a Christian academy, so there's some elements of like larger things going on. I believe, from what I have read, the cover, she is supposed to be like the prettiest girl in high school. I think they achieved it. This is like a really good. It's really fun. I with mysteries, like I never know what's gonna happen. Yeah, and it's the third of the McQuiston books. It's a knockout. They're all just read everything that
they do, because they're one of those authors where
you want to be friends with all the characters.
Yes, everything is. It's got a very clear like style and sense of humor to it, and that makes me really excited to read that one because again, I have a review copy sitting on my Kindle that I haven't read. Why haven't I read it yet? I don't know.
Yeah, so
too many books, not enough time.
Essentially, celebrate Pride by reading a lot of books.
Yes, lots of queer books.
Yes.
Lots of celebration.
Yay!
Again, we have the button making program for Pride that is going to be Saturday, June 11th, 11 to noon in the Johnson Room. I'm going to be working that day, so I'm probably going to stop by and make myself some buttons. We're going to have pre-made designs and also ones that you can color yourself. So I colored yesterday instead of doing real work because I didn't want to do real work. I wanted to color. So coloring, it was fun. You can color too at the program on Saturday, June 11th. Yay, colors.
Yay.
Okay. That is all the books that we had for the Bookstream.
Yeah.
And next month, Susan, who works up in Children's, is going to be joining because she wants to talk about science fiction. So it's going to be Science Fiction Month. If you would like to help out with that, you are more than welcome. Yeah, science fiction's fun. We're excited.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to talk about queer science fiction.
Yes.
I almost knocked all the books over. Okay, stopping the recording. Happy Pride, everybody.